that there are men out there that prey on the pale brunettes of life. Also manages to somehow alienate her family and also her friends. Drug references, exactly what today's youth needs. Edward Cullen. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 2 of BookTok PD. That is where I, Detective Denticlayo, bring to you the latest news, horrors, mysteries, confusions of the book boyfriends of TikTok. On today's episode, we're getting into the one, the only, the man whose hair might be higher than mine, Edward Cullen. One of the things that I find most mysterious about Edward Cullen is the fact that he has evaded us for so long. We have searched. We have investigated. In fact, I almost wanted the opportunity to go up to Forks myself. But you know, these stories, they are not just myths. They are real. At least in the dating sense. There are men out there, I want to warn you. I love women, so I want to warn you. But there are men out there with hair as high as their mushrooms that they find in the woods. That there are men out there that prey on the pale brunettes of life. And they promise a life of weird emotional attachment and stalking, and in return you get a weird GQ model family living in a weird house in the woods where no one sleeps. So that is what we're getting into today, and the categories that this man has been nominated in are extensive and frightening, to say the least. So, one of them is stalking. We all remember from the first book. Now, I should really share my qualifications here, okay? Because I know that everyone likes to pretend that they're an expert. I have actually read Twilight, mostly because Investigator Grace forced me to. I don't know if you know that, but she did. Once on a stakeout, it was a lot of spare time. I forgot my earbuds, and she had a copy of Twilight. It was a moment of weakness, alright, but I did read it, unfortunately. So I am qualified to speak on this matter. I have seen all the movies, again, because of Investigator Grace. And so I'm qualified to speak on this matter, but, anywho. In the book and the movies, we all remember that Edward said that he would read people's minds to find out where she was to protect her. Okay, to protect her. It was to protect her. However, a lot of things that I remember is that if I was called to the scene of someone in real life who was doing that, my thought would be, sir, you are not Edward Cullen. And I will be taking you in handcuffs and down to the station. That is what I would do. However, I cannot do that with a fictional fellow. And I suppose what I'm trying to say here is, if anyone's wondering whether I'm Team Edward or Team Jacob, you are incorrect. I am Team Mustache Dad all the way. If there is any doubt about that, my profile picture on Hinge might remind you. Not that I'm on Hinge. Don't look at my Hinge, but... Listen, as a former teen actor, I, Detective Denticlayo, have seen a lot of things, and Edward Cullen is by far the worst of them. Not only does he not respect Bella's privacy, but he also manages to somehow alienate her family and also her friends. She has no friends when she's with him. Let's not forget that. As soon as they start dating, Bella no longer hangs out with her friends. And that's made to seem like, oh, it's because of the danger, it's because this is a new life she's leading. Let's not forget, everyone, that there are 12 and 13-year-old girls reading these books who are taking messages from it and applying it to their dating life. Certain things are romantic and attainable and desirable, but personally, I recommend a man who uses less hair gel. It's embarrassing if a man uses more hair gel than you, ladies, okay? But if you are dating someone and you have no friends anymore because you are dating him, that is usually a red flag. Bit of a red flag. He acts like a jerk to Bella for the first 30 minutes of the movie, I want to say. I don't actually remember, but I remember that he'd be like, well, why can't you walk straight? Oh, I don't want to be around you. He's supposed to be in love with her. He's supposed to be obsessed with her. So why is he acting like that? I don't know. I was so confused. On the stakeout, I was just sitting there in this, divorced man's driveway being like, What? Look out, this is how high my hair goes. And I think Edward's goes higher. Look at that. Is this attractive to you? It shouldn't be, because this is what Edward looks like, and it shouldn't be attractive. Don't be attracted to this. Alright, ladies? Please, let's make a pact, alright? No more spiky haired gentlemen. Alright. We will only have the mustache dads of the world that are successful, truly. And I have so many. The reason why I didn't ask for witness statements for this, I didn't put out anything to the outer precinct, of course, of BookTok, because Edward is widely regarded now as toxic and cringe, and the Twilight books and movies have been discussed in so much more of a negative light in recent years that it's not really controversial anymore, but it's still a staple that I needed to cover personally. So that's why I decided to cover Edward Cullen. Barrett. Oh. I look kind of like Mustache Dad myself. Alright now. Anyway. He's not exactly respectful of Bella's privacy. He watches her sleep. Very weird. He sneaks in through her window. Very weird. He disobeys her father. Again, very weird. Also, he's 109, so why does he need to date a 17-year-old? I do not understand that. That is normally what we would call illegal and weird. So I don't fully get that. I have a feeling this is going to be a shorter episode because there's just less to get through, if I'm being honest. I'm going to come back a different day when I have some notes and perhaps some testimonies, and we're going to wrap this up then. Alright, in case you couldn't tell, it has been several hours, and we are back with episode 2 of BookTok PD, and we are going to be getting back into the quotes. So, I was supposed to ask for some witness statements according to precinct policy, but couldn't get those in time. So, if I get them in time for editing, I will insert them somewhere in this video. But now we're going to be going over some quotes that are both cringe and concerning. So, and this will be from the book and the movie. So, movie. You're like my own personal brand heroin. Drug references. Exactly what today's youth needs. Whoops, mustache is slipping. Mustache is slipping. Okay. A lion fell in love with the lamb. Predatory. I like watching you sleep. Have you seen any documentary about Ted Bundy? Last night was the best night of my existence. After a date. One singular date. If a guy ever says that after getting Nacho Supreme at Taco Bell, be concerned, ladies. I feel very protective of you. Now, listen. As a fella, as a detective, I will say I also feel protective over, the people that are reading these stories. However, I, unlike Edward, understand that people still have free will. And that if someone decides to read or watch Twilight, that's out of my control. I can't help that. That's their own decision. Not up to me. Edward is protective of Bella, but in a way that's controlling. He controls who she talks to, aka her lack of friends. Concerning, to say the least. You can't trust vampires. Another quote. But he is a vampire, and he's dating a girl who is not a vampire. He clearly has an advantage over her. What if I'm not the hero? What if I'm the bad guy? Yet another quote. Do I need to state why this is concerning? I will, though. I will. So, in my experience, if a guy ever says, what if I'm the bad guy? Just trust him. He is the bad guy, okay? Don't ask follow-up questions. Just go. Just run away very far. Let's find some more. This is fun. I recently learned how to use the internet. This is quite fun. Okay, hold on tight, spider monkey. I wouldn't say this is cringe, but it is, dumb, so. You're intoxicated by my very presence. Weird. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. That's because he actually has killed people. Now, I understand that there is the logic of, okay, well, he was a new vampire and he only killed people who really deserved it, but he still killed people. And he did not tell her until, I think, the night before her wedding, right? Like, the night before they got married. He told her, hey, by the way, I know we've been dating for a while, but I killed people, so. Personally, that'd be kind of a downer for me. You give me everything just by breathing. And followed by, you are my life now. Personally, when I saw this in the first movie, I was on a stakeout, as we know, and she loves these movies. It's absolutely nuts. But even she admitted this line is a bit odd. If anyone says, like, you are my life now, like, do you not have a life? Did you not have a life before you met? You are 109. What did you do for all those years? Did you just wait for some pale brunette to come along? What do you mean? Now, granted, this episode is not to hate on Bella. Purely Edward. Let's do some, concerning. Back into the books. Let's find some lines for the books. Now, ooh. I forgot about this. That's interesting. Okay, so I see from an article on Screen Rant, the place where all good movie quotes are, that he sabotaged Bella's truck so she couldn't visit Jacob. Actually, I think that was in the movie. Dang it. Okay, well that's not great. Okay, well he sabotaged her truck so she couldn't visit Jacob. Now, she and Jacob are friends. They have been friends for a long time. Their dads are friends. It's like a family friend. Bella also never really felt as romantic about Jacob as she did about Edward. So it's not quite the same level of attraction there, obviously, even though Jacob is in love with her completely. So why the need to sabotage her truck, my dude? Following Bella to Port Angeles. He tracks her, essentially. Very concerning. Also, the fact that he left her in the woods. He left her in the woods, my dude. We all know that Bella's fragile. She trips, she falls, she encounters death multiple times. You can't just leave her alone in the woods. Expect something bad not to happen. Here's another one. Bella wants to become a vampire, correct? But instead of, validating her autonomy as a human being, that she can make her own decision, he constantly changes the terms by which she shall become a vampire. First it's, oh, when we graduate, oh, when this, oh, when that. If she wants to become a vampire, she wants to become a vampire. You can't stop her. So you might as well help her do it in the healthiest way possible and not just be a control freak. Honestly, if this Edward fella was one of my friends, I'd be like, listen, dude, you're kind of weird, and I noticed that in 109 years you still don't understand how biology works because you're still in high school with 17-year-olds. Also, why are you dating a 17-year-old? Okay, there are plenty of old women that you can date, alright, that would probably put up with less of your crap. So. And those are the quotes for today, friends. Thank you so much for participating. I have such fun. Such fun doing these. And who shall my next victim be? Conrad? Shall it be Conrad? What about Peter? What about Gale? Was Gale ever a boyfriend? We shall treat him as such, though. Whoops, mustache. So, thank you so much for tuning in to the second episode of BookTok PD, where we investigate the cringe, the concerning, the toxic, boys of the pages that we all adore. I'm Detective Denticlayo, and it has been an honor.